in our last lesson, this is it. This is it, so that means our big test is coming up next week, okay? We are doing a polynomial divided by a monomial. So if you understood lesson 3, 4 pretty well, then this is gonna seem really simple for you, okay? The key is knowing that when you have a polynomial divided by a monomial, that the monomial, the single term, goes with everything. You'll notice the first two examples are written differently, but they mean the same thing. So poly meaning more than one, so there's 3, divided by monomial, one term, okay? So no matter which way I write it, it means the same thing, okay? So step 1 is to separate it, meaning that this x has to go with everything. That x goes with the x to the third. That x goes with the minus 3x to the second. And that x goes with the 4x. So I separate or rewrite this as separate fractions. Once I do that, then it's just like, actually it's easier than the homework we just went over. Because I'm gonna simplify the first one, and then I'm gonna simplify the second one, and then I'm gonna simplify the third one at a time. And you won't even see negative exponents, so that makes it even easier, okay? So on my first one, again, you don't have to write it, but you gotta know it's there. Those are all understood ones. So on the first one, x to the third over x, 3 minus 1 leaves me x to the second in the numerator, so no denominator there. Minus 3, 2 minus 1 leaves me x to the 1 in the numerator. 2 is bigger. Minus 4, and then x over x, exactly the same, would cancel out. And that's my answer. Again, you're gonna find this easier, I think, than the previous lesson, although we're using those rules. All right, so first I'm gonna separate that 3x.
How would 4 and the x to the 1 cancel out?
Say that again?
How would 4 and the x to the 1 cancel out in the top one?
The 4 didn't cancel. The x and the x canceled because they're exactly the same thing. It's like 5
yeah.
over 5, 2 over 2. It would equal 1, so it cancels.
Yeah.
All right, so we separate. Again, you have to know, you don't have to write, but you got to know that that's an understood power of 1. So first I'm going to do 3 over 3, that's equal to 1. On my exponents, 6 minus 1 leaves me x to the 5th in the numerator. 6 is bigger, so they end up there. Plus 6 over 3 is 2. 4 minus 1 is x to the 3rd in the numerator. Minus 12 divided by 3 is 4. 2 minus 1 leaves me x to the 1 in the numerator because 2 is bigger than 1. That's my answer. Okay, question so far? All right, so I'm going to split these up and simplify each one. Now we do have a power on the monomial, the 4x to the second. And it turns it into basically like 3 separate questions. divided by 4 is 4. On my powers, 5 minus 2 leaves me x to the third in the numerator. Plus 12 over 4 is 3. And 3 minus 2 is x to the 1 in the numerator. I don't have to write the 1, but I can. Minus 8 over 4 is 2. And x squared over x squared, which is canceled because it's exactly the same thing, which means it equals 1. If you subtract it, you get x to the 0, which is 1. So they're just gone. That is my answer. I don't think, I'll just let it see. All right, so I'm going to separate these. I will say that it is possible. I don't do it myself, even after doing this for many years. It's possible to get these answers without separating your fractions. If you know and understand that that denominator goes with all of it, I'm not going to suggest that you do it, but it is possible. So if you do it and can get it right, that's fine. I'm going to keep doing this, where I'm separating them. Okay? All right, 15 divided by 5 is 3. X to the 7th over x to the 3rd. I'm going to take 7 minus 3 is 4. Minus 5 over 5 is 1. X to the 3rds would cancel each other out because they're exactly the same thing. Plus 10 divided by 5 is 2. 5 minus 3 leaves me x to the 2nd in the numerator. Okay, before I go to this last question, I want to point out 2 things. In this question here, this 1 would be optional. And it would be optional because there's something else there. There's an x to the 5th there. So that 1 would not have to be written. But in the example that I just did, not optional. It has to be there. Because there's nothing else there holding its place in that division, okay? So I want you to see the difference between those 2. Okay, and this last one, yep, that's my last one. Because literally it's not going to get any more challenging on this. I'm going to split it up. I should add that this polynomial can have 2, 3, 4, 5 terms. It can have an unlimited amount of terms over 2 or more. I only think I'm as high as 3 on any of the ones in the homework. All right, so I split this up. 18 divided by 9 is 2. On my powers, 8 minus 2 leaves me x to the 6th on the top. Plus 27 divided by 9 is 3. 3 minus 2 leaves me x to the 1 on the top. I can write the 1 or I can leave it off. Minus 45 divided by 9 is 5. And on my exponents, 4 minus 2 leaves me x to the 2nd in the numerator. Now, I will tell you that these can get more complicated. They would in your next class for Algebra 1. But yes, these can get more complicated. Yes?
You're doing a biology project. Can we take a picture
Yeah.
of the class?
Okay, some questions. Up here, eyes up here. Okay, some questions. Okay, pull up that OTL, and I will give you, I don't know, gotta see how long it is first, I don't remember.
There's 8 questions.
8 questions, so I will give you 15 minutes. 15 minutes, okay? Look at the clock, 15 minutes. 3.5, not the extra practice, just the regular one.